The oil industry is passing through a very interesting phase right now. The issue is that both Saudi Arabia and Russia need higher oil prices for their own respective reasons. Saudi Arabia has got a large number of projects, including sports shows, bringing in sportsmen from all around the globe, bringing the single line city, NEOM, and these all are billions and billions of dollars. Saudi Arabia is investing left and right anywhere it finds like. So that all means that Saudi Arabia needs hundreds of billions of dollars. And that is only possible if the prices remain high. You see, the Saudi policy have changed over the years. They also know that oil is coming to a limit. Oil cannot sustain their growth, their development, their economic viability for long. So what are they trying to do as per the Vision 2030 of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is to invest it in sectors so that the payoff from those investments could sustain their economy in years and decades ahead. Now, for that, for making all those investments, they need hundreds of billions of dollars. From where to generate that investment? That investment, Saudi economy is basically oil-dependent economy. That's a single product economy that Saudi Arabia is right now. So they need to sell oil at a higher price. And that is one of the basic reasons why they are trying to cut down output so that the market prices remain high. Now, the second part of it is Russia. Why does Russia need these higher oil prices? That's also very interesting. Ever since the Ukraine issue began, there were sanctions on Russian oil exports. And that meant that the Russian income from oil started to go down. Now, if you recall, way back in 80s, Ronald Reagan, during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, and King Fahd was leading Saudi Arabia then. The Afghan war was going on. And one of the tools that they used to cripple literally the then USSR was to ensure that the petrodollar flow to the Russian kitty gets down. And how they did it? They brought the prices down. This is what Americans were trying to do right now with the sanctions, to bring the prices down. They were not permitted to sell anything beyond $60 a barrel, as per the sanctions regime that Americans and their allies brought it on Russia. And that made, now Russia needs also higher prices. And the only tool, both in the hands of Russia and Saudi Arabia, was to increase the prices so that even in lower output, they could make maximum money. So both these countries, these major oil producers, Russia is producing the highest at this time, Saudi Arabia is number 2 at this time, and they are maximizing or rather optimizing their petrodollars earning. And that is only possible if they cut down the oil output. And this is what they are doing. You see, both Russia and Saudi Arabia have succeeded in their effort. Oil prices are going up. They are about to touch $100 a barrel. It is now becoming almost an apparent sort of result of all this. So the prices are going up. If I'm not wrong, I'm just calling off head right now, that before this output cut started to get into place, the prices were going down to something around $60-65 a barrel. That was more manageable for the world. But now, for the time being, as a result of these output cut, the prices have gone up. And there is another aspect to it why the prices are going up. At a point in time, right now, what is happening, that the oil flow is under squeeze. Output is under squeeze. It is being cut. And on the other side, the global consumption is slowly and gradually starting to go up. Now, so that means there is a double squeeze. In fact, there has been a recent International Energy Agency report and even an OPEC report, which indicates that for the time being, the total global oil consumption has gone beyond 102 million barrels a day. Now, most of these, the IEA and the OPEC, plus most of the analysts agree that the oil consumption, at least for the time being, is on the rise. OPEC is saying that it could go up to 108 million barrels a day. Although IEA is starting to differ with it, and IEA says, the International Energy Agency says, that the global oil consumption would start to plateau and then go down by 2027 for various reasons. Carbon emission is one of those, the green campaign, the electric vehicles, all these are part of this equation. So resultantly, at least for the time being, for the next 2, 3, 4 years, that is almost certain that the oil consumption would keep going up, and post-COVID impact are there. So virtually everywhere from the US to the European states to South Asia, India, China, everyone to a certain degree, some at some places it is going up very rapidly, in some other places it is growing up but rather slowly, but the consumption, the global average consumption is going up. So these two things are there. The consumption is going up, supplies are under squeeze, and that means that the prices are going up and up. Now, that means that we all are paying a lot. If I look around, I'm based in Toronto, and I am paying, it used to be somewhere around 1.1 to 1.2 Canadian dollars a liter until 3-4 months back. Today, while I was on my way to the office, I saw it reaching or hitting 1.72 or 1.73 dollars a liter. And to be fair, I was a little hesitant to fill up my tank, because maybe by the evening it might go a little down. So I was waiting. Generally in the evenings here, the price go down a little. So I was waiting for the evening to come here, so that on my way back, I would fill up the tank. So everyone is paying a price. Prices have gone up, and that is stoking inflation. Inflation is a big issue. It is a big issue in Pakistan. It is not only in Pakistan, it is happening all over the globe. The only difference between Pakistan and the rest of the world is that in Pakistan, for the common man on the street, it is getting virtually impossible to sustain and meet this sort of inflation. It is getting beyond their means. In other world, especially in the OECD countries, in North America, in Europe, and even in China, and perhaps in India as well, people are still in a position to counter that inflation. They can still survive. So as far as inflation is concerned, this is a global phenomenon. To what extent, that is a different issue. Pakistan stands perhaps at the lowest bottom in that sense. The rest of the world is at different stages, so the people can perhaps sustain it for a bit longer. So all this is having a great impact on common people. They have to pay a price, and that is stoking inflation. Diesel is getting up. That means transportation of goods are the prices going up. That means the prices that we are paying at the grocery stores is going up. So all these are related, integrated to each other, and me and you have to pay the price. That this may not last for long. And there are reasons for it when I say that. Number first is that when prices go up much, consumption starts to go down. When I look at myself, I'm now pretty much concerned that if I have to drive for 100 kilometers, I think of it, that should I or should I not? If I can avoid, I will not, because of the gas prices or the petrol prices, as you call it in Pakistan. So demand could get a hit because of it. That's number one. And inflation is also going up. Plus, the pressure on the oil producing countries, both political pressure is also increasing. So there is an economic pressure that for the higher prices may dampen global demand, and the political pressure on the oil producing countries, especially Saudi Arabia, is also growing. So both these factors, and especially the inflation thing, OPEC and Saudi Arabia and Russia, all very aware of the fact that if the prices go up very rapidly, it goes to a certain level, demand would go down. And they don't want the demand to go down considerably. That would impact the prices. So perhaps how I look at it, that over the next month or two, they might open their oil taps a little at least. And that could mean that this overheating oil markets could cool down a bit. This is how I look at the upcoming scenario of the oil markets.